Arsene Wenger has his critics, but let's not get away from the fact that some of his players have been a complete and utter disgrace this season. It's been reported that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain wants to leave Arsenal as he's not been given a fair run of the team. Considering his half-hearted attempts to win the ball on Saturday, is it any wonder? He can throw his arms up in the air and apologise to the fans all he wants, but if the man isn't capable of tracking his runner, then he should give up his shirt to somebody who will. You could have sent your one from Little Mix out in his place and she would have done a better job at defending a corner. Aaron Ramsey's 13-14 season, where he scored 16 goals, was the worst thing to happen to his career. Since then, he's had a barrage of wacky hairstyles and has considered himself above blocking the ball. Funny that, considering he's a well-paid footballer. He hasn't scored a single goal in the Premier League this season, and his cowardice can be summed up by this challenge. Do not turn your arse on the ball. Christ, you learned that when you're 8 years old. The likes of Gabriel and Kieran Gibbs will never be good enough to win the Premier League, and I'm saying that 9 months after this happened. Theo Walcott has become so ingrained in the mediocrity that has been accepted at Arsenal over the last decade that he might as well get 4th place stamped across his forehead. Granted, Xhaka has all the technical ability in the world, but wouldn't it be useful if Arsenal's 35 million defensive midfielder knew how to tackle properly? Or is that asking too much? Francis Coquelin, don't even get me started. And what the hell is Yaya Sanogo still doing contracted to that club? Don't think I've forgotten about him. For years, Arsenal were fed the same line every summer that they couldn't compete financially because they had to pay off a stadium that the fans hadn't asked for. That's why when Chelsea spent 30 million on Shevchenko, Arsenal spent 3 on Danielson. When Man City spent 38 on Aguero, Arsenal spent 10 on Gervinho. Spoilers, spending no money does not win you titles. And don't you mention Leicester. The Emirates debt was paid off 3 years ago, and still Arsenal are not spending money on the right type of player. Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez were 2 excellent buys, but where was the defensive steel? Xhaka is a walking red card. Gabriel and Mustafi are bang average. And my dog could probably outrun Mertesacker. And my dog's been dead for 10 years. What happened to the likes of Vieira, Campbell, Cole, who would stand up to the opposition? Nowadays, the Arsenal squad is littered with the finest technicians in the country, but who wouldn't know a tackle if it slapped them across the face? Whoever's in charge of Arsenal needs to whip out the checkbook and make them something they haven't been since 2004. Hard to beat. While the likes of Kylian Mbappe could add a devastating component to their attack, because let's be honest, Sanchez isn't going to stay. But above all, they need players who won't wilt and die when faced with a trip to Tony Pulis, or at least won't leave 3 players unmarked in the box at a corner. Why do Arsenal even bother qualifying for the Champions League anymore? What's the point? Aside from the financial benefits, what is the actual point in entering a competition if you're not even going to attempt to win the damn thing? Losing 5-1 to Bayern Munich once might be acceptable. It happens, but 3 times? Jesus Christ. Getting dumped out in the last 16 for 6 consecutive seasons? Wenger has been knocked out of the Champions League last 16 8 times and has reached just 2 semi-finals. Domestically, he's achieved wonders for the club, but on the European stage, the man has failed. So finally, the manager. Should Arsene Wenger go? It's all everybody's talking about. His team might have been embarrassing at times this season, but so too have been the reaction of some of the fans. I wouldn't criticise any Arsenal fan for wanting change in the club. 13 years without a league title, life must not be worth living. But to fly a plane over the stadium demanding that your manager should be sacked, can you imagine any other set of fans doing that? Oh well. Yeah. Having said that, maybe it is time for a change. The board need to take back some control. Christ, they're just letting the club drift. You wouldn't be surprised if Kroenke just checked the league table every 6 weeks to keep tabs on whether they were near enough the Champions League spots or not. That seems to be their remit. The likes of Allegri and Tuchel have both been linked with the job. If Arsenal don't get Champions League football, which does look like a possibility, would either of those men even want the job? All down to you, Alan. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.